Good morning. What an absolutely gorgeous day. This is going to be a wee kind of supplemental video just to answer a few questions that you've been asking and things like that. There have been a lot of questions like, why are you sailing all the time? Why are you motoring all the time and things? I'm no motoring all the time. I'm motoring a lot. Motoring more than I will be once I get past this phase and the next phase of this project. I'm just going to take a seat here because there's a bit of a swell. I think if I explain what the phases are, it might kind of put things in perspective for everybody. This phase here was me getting the boat. To do that, I drove 700 mile with a van full of tools because the boat had been sitting for 24 years and I didn't know what was wrong with it. As it is, they're uncomfortable, and at times very uncomfortable in the boat because I have about 1.1 tonne of equipment with me. So there's no really any space for me, there's no space to put things away, and it's quite uncomfortable. And in my mind, I'm already kind of 12-13 days behind schedule due to weather. So with my background, I do like things to go according to schedule. So I mean, I'm in a hurry to get this phase over. As I said, this phase was to go down to get the boat, to spend, it was supposed to be a week, it ended up 10 days, just getting it ready for the water, and then to sail it back home. I had planned to stop off at the Isle of Wight and a few other places and do some nice videos like other YouTubers do, but I was 8 days in Portland Harbour waiting on the kind of 30 to 40 knot winds dying down, and then there's been a few other bits and pieces that, as a complete novice sailor, I never took into account. I mean, don't get me wrong, I never took Navionics' prediction to heart. I mean, Navionics says I would be home 10 days after I hit the water. I gave myself a month, but bear in mind that I'm not a full-time YouTuber or anything like that. I'm kind of charting my journey here and my learning experience at the same time, both learning to sail and learning to do YouTube. So this phase is literally get the boat, get it ready for water and get it home so that I can then start refurbishing it and I can go out on proper adventures with my family and video that. So I mean, I definitely do motor than I will once I get up the road. If I'm faced with wind on the nose like I was most of the south coast, and I'm given the choice of tacking all day and doing 90 mile as opposed to 40 mile motoring, then I'm in a hurry to get up the road, I'm in a hurry to get onto the next phase, and I'm in a hurry to get back to my base where I've got all my equipment and all my everything. And I'm in a hurry to get back to see my wife. So, given the choice between tacking 90 miles and doing kind of 3 knots when I'm doing that, or with this brilliant engine that I've got, 6 knots in a straight line and doing 40 miles, I'm going to choose that. Thankfully, I'm round the west coast now and the wind's a lot better. And I kind of tapped into a current yesterday as I came round in towards Cardigan Bay, and it was absolutely amazing. I actually stopped the motor for about 3 hours and I was still doing 9 knots just with the current and the sail. So I'm hoping that I can tap into that today. I'm actually leaving specifically at the turn of the current, so that I can get out. It's 7 mile back out to the 50 metre line, and back out into the main current. So aye, I mean that's something that I learned yesterday as well. I'd heard people talking about, you know, I'm leaving with the current, and I thought, aye, fair enough. But I actually seen it in action yesterday, and I thought, wow, okay, I can time my days to the current and do, you know, it's 6 hours I'm getting with the current this time. If I can get 7 knots for 6 hours, you know, I'll get a lot further than I would have before. So aye, I mean, I am learning. It's a huge learning journey for me, both this YouTube thing and, you know, the sailing. I mean, it was only after Portland Bill that I actually tacked for the first time, and that was based on things that I'd seen on YouTube and things that I'd read. And it's not until you experience it and you start working out which angles are actually better for your boat that you actually start to really understand. You know, I've made a lot of mistakes and I've learned a lot from them. I mean, Lizard Point, I allowed my eagerness to push on to actually take me through a situation that, in hindsight, knowing then what I know now, no, I wouldn't have done that. You know, the wind blew up over 40 knots, and I knew from experience that that was going to cause a bit of a swell. And I thought to myself, well, it's 2 in the morning, it's dying down now, so that swell is going to last for about 12 hours. I think Lizard Point forgot to get that memo, because it was between 3 and 4 metre swell, and it was an uncomfortable experience and something that I had to focus on. But again, I learned a lesson from it, and it's not something, it's not a mistake that I'll repeat. There's a huge amount of learning in this for me. And you know, with the YouTube, getting this balance between talking and doing and all the rest of it, again, I'll make mistakes along the way and I'll learn. The really good thing is, and the thing that I completely didn't expect, was the reception I've had from people and the help and advice I've had for people. That's been absolutely phenomenal. That's just blown me away completely. I mean, I've always been this kind of gruff, abrupt person that, believe it or not, it actually took me 10 years to learn to talk as much as I do. I mean, in my early years I was always accused of not talking. So it's a skill that I've only learned in the last few years. Especially when I was serving, most of my communication was non-verbal. It was just expected that everybody around me knew what I was doing, what they were doing, and what was expected. So this explaining, you know, narrating what I'm doing and all the rest of it, I mean, this is another skill that I'm learning as we go. It'll improve. Like everything else, you know, as I said, I'll make mistakes and then I'll learn from them. But the important thing is that, you know, people understand that I've got a plan here, that this phase is me collecting the boat and getting it home. Once I get it home, there will be restorations. There will also be adventures. I mean, I'm planning on going round Outer Hebrides and things this year. I'm planning on going to Skye, possibly Orkney, and then next January, hopefully the Up Hellier Festival in Shetland. Sorry, I've not had enough coffee yet. And then next summer, we're looking at going through the canals in France to Port Napoleon and then into the Mediterranean. So, I mean, this part is only a phase, and I get that I'm pushing it. I've done I think in the last week I've done about 300 miles because I am pushing it. And if I'm on sail and I'm only doing 3 knots, I'm going to stick the engine on to get that 6 knots. As I said, you know, this is not a full-time thing for me. I'm just, if you look back at the first videos, you know, this channel is not very old at all, and this is all stuff I'm learning along the way, which is another question I get asked quite a lot. People ask me where my Patreon is. I don't have one. I don't feel that I'm ready for Patreon, you know, and I don't have a membership thing with YouTube. I think later on, when I'm doing things more full time, then aye. But, you know, I don't feel that I'm getting YouTube right, so why am I going to start asking people to pay to watch me? Once I get more comfortable with YouTube, and once I've got a lot more experience sailing, and once I feel that I'm actually bringing something to the table, other than me kind of feeling my way through this experience and, you know, kind of talking to you about my epiphanies along the way and that sort of stuff, and my learning. Once I've got that under my belt and I feel that I've got a handle on this, then aye, maybe we'll see how it goes. So aye, I've covered why I don't sail all the time, what the phases are. You know, the phase we're in now, get this home. The next phase, do some restoration and do some adventures, and then, you know, get a lot of equipment on this boat, get safety equipment. I mean, I'm no going up past Cape Wrath and things without a life raft on here, without AIS. I mean, I don't mind doing it myself, but I'm not putting my wife on this boat and going around dangerous places without equipment on, you know. It's been a bit of a struggle just using the fish finder and no using a plotter. You know, there's a lot of things that come up that aren't marked on the fish finder. It's just a blank, rough map. So, aye, I want to get a lot of equipment on here, and I want to change a few bits and pieces, and I want to refurbish a lot of the inside because it's absolutely hanging. But aye, these are discomforts that I'm willing to put up with, that I wouldn't be wanting my wife to put up with, and they're dangers that I'm willing to accept that I don't want my wife having to accept. So aye, I'm pushing on with this phase to get on to the next phase, to make it nice, to do some adventures. I'm gaining a lot of experience in this, both with YouTube and the sailing and things. I'm getting to know this boat and her capabilities. I mean, going round Lizard Point, it was a mistake, but it showed me just how capable this wee boat is. I mean, she was absolutely amazing. She was slaloming down the side of waves at times. And, you know, I learned a huge amount for that. And I gained a lot of confidence in this boat. I left Wilson's boatyard in Halen Island worried that I was going to get round the corner, get hit with a gusty wind and the boat would just fall over. And that's not the case. I mean, I think what I've come to understand, these boats that, you know, these Iroquois that have went over in the past, I think people have been pushing them. I don't think people have been doing what I've done and being kind of cautious. I mean, I've actually got, I think I found another Genoa, so I've got 4 Genoas on board. 2 of them are huge things. I think one of them's oversized, one of them's full size, and then there's a light one, and then the one that I've got on the now is only 75%. And that's the one that I've done all the sailing with. And it does make it slower, but it makes it less likely that I'm going to get myself into a situation that this poor wee boat will end up upside down. So I've got a lot more confidence that she's not just going to tip over, you know. I've seen videos from people actually having one of the hulls out of the water with these things, and they were saying to me that it's quite difficult to do that unless you're in the wrong sea conditions and you've got an overpowered sail up. Then you know you're going to be okay, and that's what I've found. I mean, I've no had any issues. I've sat with the rope in my hand ready to unfurl it off the winch at any second's notice, just to get the wind out the sail if I thought that the boat was tipping. And there's been a lot of anxiety through these horror stories that people have told me. And I'm not saying that these boats don't tip over. I mean, they absolutely do. That's a historical fact. And they don't give you notice. I think the thing is, don't get it into that position where it's going to tip over. Be cautious with it. I mean, I'm no racing this thing. Although I'm in a hurry to get home, I'm no racing it. So I don't need to push it to that extremes. I mean, I realise this is a rambling on video and things. It's just an update with kind of questions. Another common one I get is, how's the outboard going? Seriously, it is absolutely phenomenal. It makes it feel like a completely different boat. I mean, I've never had the outboard flat out or anything like it. I mean, I pushed it a bit through Lizard, and even in that weather I was doing 7 knots, kind of going through the swell and the waves, so that's plenty enough for me. As much as I don't like being kind of stuck doing a knot to 2 knots, I don't need to go much faster than 7 knots. That's plenty fast enough. I make good progress. You know, if I do a 10-hour day, I can easily achieve 50 mile. So, aye, the engine is absolutely outstanding. And one of the best decisions I've made since doing this. You know, I was really swithering because it did take everything. It did take the whole contingency, but 100% worth it, absolutely. Once I get home, I'm actually going to replace the 6 horsepower that I've got, the Chinese one. I'm going to replace that with a 4-stroke Daihatsu, because they're really good engines, and you know, it seems to get into this rhythm and it just keeps going, and it hasn't faltered once. So aye, I'm really happy with the engine. There are a growing number of things on the boat that I'm definitely going to change. Some of them quality of life, some of them because she's old and broken. I will start going through things in my main videos, but I think I'll do these wee supplemental videos where I'm kind of chatting, and if people don't like the chatting, then they can just not watch that video and they can watch the main videos where I'm doing stuff. I mean, if you've got any questions and things or any comments, just stick them on the videos. I'll read every one of them. I try to get back to everyone. You know, as I said, I've actually learned a huge amount through this community that's kind of rallied round about me and is helping me on my way. It's pretty phenomenal. So I'm very grateful for that. And it's the biggest surprise of this whole journey. I expected a lot of surprises, but I didn't expect the community on my channel to be what it is. You know, it's absolutely amazing. So thank you very much. I'm going to end this video here. As I said, it's just a wee kind of supplemental. If you've got any other questions, you know, give me a shout and I'll see if I can answer for you in a supplemental again in future. If you like these supplemental videos, then let me know. I can do more, even if they're only wee 5-minute catch-ups. I can certainly do that. Anyway, take care and I'll catch you next time.